Yo, what's happening, man? It's your boy Hollywood. We live from the site HVAC Mechanical Department. And today we're gonna be talking about tools. Yeah, you're gonna need tools for the job. Every job you do, you're gonna need tools, and tools are required. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the tools for the trade and HVAC. And live from the site. Check me out. Okay, this right here is your toolbox. You need your toolbox, tool bag, book bag, anything to store your tools in, really, to bring them and be able to work. Now, this right here is your tool pouch. You need that while you're on the lift or the ladder. That'll help you have your tools right there handy, right at your side, so you have to keep going up and down the ladder. So with me, I like a toolbox that can hold a lot of tools. I got a lot of stuff from grinders, screwdrivers, to markers, to tape measures, the lasers. So you need something with good space. I got this one with the big wheels on it. So when you're on the construction site, you can pull it and get to the site a little easier if they still doing underground and stuff like that. Accessibility is always good. You don't want nothing that you gotta carry and that's extra heavy. You know what I mean? Next, we're gonna talk about the impact. The impact is gonna be your daily user. You're gonna use it from putting your screws in to adding attachments to making cuts. That's one that you got to keep your batteries charged because you're going to run your impact all day. Okay, next on that list are going to be your hex driver bits. Now, these are for your screws. Your screw head fits inside the bit. You know what I mean? 5/16 or 5/16 screw. Now, the 5/16 is our daily user, but we do use quarters and 3/8. Halves and 7/16 rarely, because those are big heads. We don't really need screws that big, but sometimes we do use them, depending on the project. But like I was saying, the 5/16 are our daily user. Those are going to be in our tool pouches. Those are what we're going to use daily, And you always want a good bit with a good magnet on it. Sometimes the magnet wear out and make the screws fall out. So you always want to get a good bit with a good magnet. Next on our list is going to be your hammer drill. Now it's different from a regular drill. It has a hammer located on the side of it. It's a hammer, a picture of an actual hammer on it, and you just switch the knob to hammer mode, and that helps you drill through your concrete. When you got to set your hangers in a concrete floor, or you got to make a center hole in the concrete wall. You put your concrete bit in it, tighten it all the way down, make sure it's set the hammer, and you just really just drill it in. I run my speed on 1, and I do it in breaks, like zzz, zzz, you know what I mean? So you don't kill your battery and mess up the tip of the bit. And when you're drilling through steel, you put your steel bit in, your metal bit, and you keep it straight up and down. So when you go through one layer of the decking and you hit the actual steel, it's a straight hole up and down. So when you put your screw or your all thread or your something to bind the two together, it's your screw is up and down. It's straight up and down. Sometimes cocked to the side, but you don't want it leaning like the Alpha Tower. You know what I mean? You want it looking good, because you can see it from the bottom. So you always want to do nice work, nice quality work. And when you're drilling, make sure it's straight up and down plumb. And you go, take your time. You're not in a rush, but you're in a rush. You know what I'm saying? So make it look good. And that's that. Next on the list is the tape measure. Now, it's always good to have a good tape measure, something thick that won't fold. You probably want something with a magnet tip, you can put against metal. It'll stay strong, it'll stay sturdy. A 16-foot tape measure for what we do out here, yeah, you can use it, but you can't really use it. It's one that you keep when you looking for duck or you making a cut, something like that. But usually we run with 25 feet or 30 feet tape measures, 35 feet tape measures, 100 feet tape measures. We need something with a good lot of distance on it because we got a lot going on. But yeah, that's your tape measure, man. That's another tool that's going to be your daily, it's going to be daily use. It's always good to have a good tape measure. Okay, next on our list is your marker, pencil, writing utensil. You're going to need that. throughout the day, making your marks. If you cutting offsets and stuff, you're definitely gonna need a good marker. If you're laying out on the ground, you're definitely gonna need a good marker, a good pencil. If you're cutting a hole into the drywall, you can't use a marker. You gotta use a pencil. So it's good to have a good marker and a good pencil. And those two are gonna be daily use tools, and they need to go in your tool pouch, because you're gonna have to write down stuff all throughout the day. You're gonna have to make marks all throughout the day, because everything is precise, everything is to the T, everything is supposed to be laid out according to the print. So you got to mark it on the ground, in the air, on the wall, in the dirt, So always have good writing utensils. Okay, next on our list is going to be your snips. Now your snips, those are also going to be daily use tools for the sheet metal, because that's how we cut, the duct. If we have to cut a piece back and we want to use the grinder, or we need a notch some, snips, that's just everyday use out here in the field. You're going to have to cut your metal. You're going to have to cut pieces. You're going to have to miter and fill set. And, it's just part of the job. It's definitely a key item. Now, you want to get offsets. Now, the offsets have a big groove in them. On the left side, I think. And what they use, they help you cut your circles. The actual metal slides on top of that groove, so there's no stopping. Like if you get a pair of scrapes, it only goes so deep, it don't cut. It's just a scrape, and then you got your rights and your left. And just like your rights and your left, they both offset. So offset just has that groove in the snips to help the metal as you cut. It just slides on top of it. Okay. Next on our list is the hammer. Now that's a sheet metal hammer in the picture above, but you can use a regular hammer, like a kitchen hammer or claw hammer. We gotta say kitchen hammer. That's what we call it out here in the field, man, a kitchen hammer. But now you're gonna need your hammer. The sheet metal hammer works good for sheet metal. I guess that's why it's a sheet metal hammer. Beating your drives on, beating your drives off, beating your duct together, beating your taps in. You're gonna need your hammer. That as well is a daily key tool that is supposed to be on your tool belt. Don't forget it down off the ladder, or I gotta go down and get my hammer, or I forgot my. Put it on your tool belt, man, and you'll be good when you go out the first time. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, next on the list is the tongs. The tongs they use to straighten out bent duct, pretty much, or use to put drives on the duct. You know what I'm saying? Once you make your cut, and say you had to cut a piece of duct back, you notch it. Your 1 inch. You only notch 1 inch. Haha, that's a key tip right there. So you put your notch, you make your drives a 1/2 inch, and you take your tongs and you bend them. You just work the metal back and forth until you got a drive on your side, on your left and right side. And that's how the tongs work for bending drives and straightening out duct. Okay, next on the list, this is a line-up pan. When you got TDC duct, that's duct that has nuts and bolts and gasket is how you make the connections. The lineup tool is just to line the corners up. You know what I'm saying? So you can put your nut and bolt through. Pretty much, and that's all that purpose is. Good tool to have, but it's not like a daily user unless you're doing TDC, which is usually done at the beginning when you're doing your drops coming down and stuff like that. So it's a good tool to have, but not really a daily use. Okay, next on the list is your 9/16 socket. That's just used with TDC. Once you line your TDC up, you put your bolt through, and then you put your nut on the back. Your 9/16 just tighten it down. That's pretty much the only time you'll use that. Not really a daily tool to be in your tool pouch. So only when used when necessary, pretty much. Okay. Next tool on the list is your vice grips, your C-clamps. Now they use to keep the duct together. They use to combine your two hanging scraps. Like your vice grips, keep those in your pouch for your daily use, because you never know when you're gonna need your vice grips, and they always good to have right there when you need them. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those tools that you rather have with you than without. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be the one, dang, where my vice grips? Now you got to come all the way back down, go through your box. Just put your vice grips on you so you'll be ready at all times. You stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Keep the vice grips. Okay, now this tool right here, this is a cleat tool. This is only used to put cleats on. Cleats go on after you put your TDC together and you got your bolt and your nut tightened down. You put your cleat on after that, and that's the only time this tool is used. You don't let nobody hold this tool, because this tool love to grow legs and just disappear. You feel me? You let this tool go out the box, it ain't coming back. You know, you're going to have to chase it down. Get back over here, because this tool, a lot of people don't have this tool. This is a good tool to have because it only has one job, and it's a very important job. Putting on them cleats, you need cleats. That's another layer to trapping the air inside the duct, you know, preventing any leaks. That's the main goal. And your cleats is very, very important, and your cleat tool is a necessary tool to have. Now this next tool, this tool above, this is duct pullers. Now what their purpose is, they only use for slip and drive duct. You only use them when you're doing slip and drive, you know what I'm saying? It acts as a third hand. When you're having trouble connecting it, you slide it down. One wheel on one drive, the other wheel on the other drive. You put your S's inside your S-lock, and you pull it together. You join it together with the duct pullers, quote unquote, duct pullers, you know what I mean? So they pull the ducts together, you put your drive on, and wham bam. So they only use for one purpose, and they are tool that's in your tool pouch, but like when it's necessary for the job, you know what I'm saying? Another important tool to have is a duct opener screwdriver. It's just made to open the duct when you're cutting in your taps. You know what I'm saying? That's the only purpose for this tool. It's not really a daily tool pouch kind of tool. This specific tool right here in the picture above is just made to open up the duct. You know what I'm saying? It's good, you know, but it's a lot of other ways to open up the duct. So, but it's one of those tools that need to be on the list because it's definitely associated with the trade, because it's made for the trade. It's made specifically to open up the duct, to put taps in, and taps are your branch lines that's going to feed air throughout the building. So it's one of those tools that made the list just because of its purpose and the importance of the tool, you know, to get the job done. So yeah. Now the tool above, this is a Panduit gun. They use just to put on the Panduit scraps around the flex. Tensioner, I forgot the real name, but we call it a Panduit gun. Put the Panduits on there, and you tighten it down. You know, you get the tension off, you tighten it, and then you just cut it at the end. That's what that handle part at the bottom, the silver part, that's a cutter. And then you just squeeze the two white grips right there, and it tightens it down once you put the Panduit through the mouth right there, you know. So yeah, that's the only purpose for that. Like I say, one of those tools when you're doing the job is necessary to have in your pouch. Now the above tool, this is a duct knife. It's good to have whenever you need to cut something. You got a knife right there, sharp. It's two-sided blade. It's a good one to have. We use it to cut flex. That's pretty much, or sometimes some guys use theirs to open up the duct, but that's all it is. It's just used to cut the flex. Good tool to have. Keep it on you when necessary. Next tool is your clines. You always want to have a good pair of clines. They're wire cutters. You want something that'll cut a heavy gauge wire. You know, sometimes we got to cut wire out the way and stuff like that. So clines are always good to have. It's definitely for the flex too. For the inner liner of the flex, after you cut it with your duct knife, there's a black part on the inside with wire in it. You take your clines and you just snip it, boop, and then you're on to the next phase of installing the flex. So yeah, it's a good tool to have when you're doing that assignment, and that's what it is. Have those on you. You know, you don't want to be trying to just pull the flex and pop it, which can be done too. That's another way we do it, but keep these in your tool bag. Okay. Next up, we had a laser. Now, when you're doing the HVAC, it's good to have a Plum laser that leaves a dot at the top of the roof and a dot on the ground. So that way, you know, when you're pulling off the wall and you make your mark with your marker and you use your tape measure to pull your distance off the wall, and it's time to set one of your hangers that you're going to use your hammer drill to, drill into that concrete with one of your bits. It's good to have that Plum laser. It'll shoot right there where you need to be exact. Good tool to have, especially when you're doing your layouts and anytime you're really putting up, Doug, you're going out the print, you're doing your thing, you want to test what you got, you put the laser down and you go up and you see what how good you is. The laser is always good to have on the job site. Now this tool right here, this is a tape measure, but it's a 100-foot measuring tape. So you just put it down and it pulls all the way to 100 feet. It's a good one to have when you're doing your layouts and you're trying to figure out the walls and you're trying to figure out where your duct is running. And you just want to make sure you're in the right area for your drops when you're laying out your RTUs and stuff. 100-foot tape measure is always good. I have one in my box. I stand by it. I recommend it. If you don't have one, go get you one. There's one to have in your box because you never know when you need 100 feet tape measure. Okay, next on the list is probably one of my favorite tools. This is speed square. Now you use your speed square to make your angles, you know what I'm saying? Your 45s, your 22.5s, your 15s, your 30s, your 60 degrees. You use your 45 to get down and dirty with it. You have that duck dancing, you know what I'm saying? Or you just use it as a little simple tape measure, 1 inch, 2 inch, you know what I'm saying? Or use it to make a 90 real quick, or put it up against the wall to make sure something is square. It's one of my favorite tools that must have in your toolbox, man. You're gonna be doing any cuts, you're gonna be doing any layout. You need that speed square. It's a good tool, help you straight line, all that, man. So make sure you have one of those in your toolbox as well. Okay. Last but not least is your crimpers. Your crimpers are used on your snap lock pipe. They're used to make one end crimp, and that end is either slid to another piece of pipe or a piece of flex is added to the piece of pipe and is secured with a penduit scrap, then tightened down with your penduit gun, and then the access is cut with the penduit gun, and then the sleeve of your flex is pulled over the pipe, and then another penduit scrap is put on and tightened, and then silver tape is added, and that is how you could hook up flex to a pipe with a crimp end using your crimpers.